Look at this perfectly white snow. Perfectly white. Nobody's touched it. You know what that means? That's cold. Very cold. Very cold. See those? Those are my footsteps. I made those. All right, what am I doing out here in the snow? I am on planes a lot these days. I am traveling a lot right now. I'm doing talks all over the country and give talks at meetups and at conferences and sometimes at companies' offices as well. When I'm at a conference, sometimes the conference records the talks professionally, which is great. But when I'm at the smaller meetups or at, small offices, these are not always recorded. One of the questions I get a lot is how to record your own talks when you're giving a talk at a meetup or a conference that isn't actually recording it on their own. So in this video, I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks you can use to film your own talks at conferences as you're traveling around. But first, I'm gonna go inside and get out of this cold because it is really cold here. And I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. I'm not even wearing a hat. Brr! Oh my god, I forgot how cold snow is. Back inside where it's warm and where there is coffee. Gonna go make some delicious hotel coffee to keep my hands warm. Oh crap. Gotta plug it in. Slowly warming up my hands. It's not the best coffee, but any coffee is good enough when you are this cold. So let's talk about what you're gonna need in order to film yourself giving talks at conferences and meetups. There's basically three things you need. You're gonna need a video camera, a lav mic, and then some screen recording software for your laptop. There are about 1 million different cameras that will work totally fine for this. It doesn't really matter that much in the end what you use. What people are actually there to see at the end is your talk, which means they want to see your slides and they want to hear your voice. Watching you give the talk is secondary to that. You don't have to get a 4K camera, it doesn't need to be the best lens in the world, because really the video is there just as a suggestion to give people an idea of who the speaker is visually in addition to hearing what they're saying. So the camera I like for this is this little video camera, tiny little thing. It's a camcorder style Canon camera, screen pops out like that. It's very small, records onto an SD card. I like this just fine. It works great for me, but again, it's not really important which camera you use, but there are a couple of features of the camera that I like to make sure the camera has when I'm using it in this situation. So you're gonna want a camera that works well in low light. You're very rarely gonna be in a situation where you have stage lighting, unless you're on an actual stage with stage lighting. And if you have that, probably the event has also hired a videographer. Most of the time, if you're in like a small office or at a meetup venue, they don't have stage lights, they don't have very good lighting. So you're gonna want to make sure your camera works well in low light. You really don't need like a 4K camera, and unless you want to spend like $3,000 or more, it's not really gonna make that much of a difference in the end anyway. So just get a 1080 camcorder, full HD, don't worry about 4K. The one thing you do need to make sure the camera has is an audio input jack. On this camera, it's on the side here, and you can plug in a little microphone here, and that will let you get much better sound than what the camera can do with its built-in microphone. Built-in microphones on these things are usually very terrible. They're not even that great in like pro DSLRs or mirrorless cameras. That's why you use external microphones on those also. But in this case, this camera is gonna be in the back of the room and you're in the front of the room, so that audio, even with an external mic on top, would be absolute crap. So get a camera with an external jack, and that'll let you plug in a wireless lav mic, which we'll talk about in a minute. So basically the requirements for this camera are it works well in low light and it has an external audio jack. It's also nice if it has a zoom lens so that you can zoom in a little bit and get a better shot of yourself at the front of the room and not just a wide shot of the room. So given those requirements, this camera fits the bill very nicely. I think it's like $200 or $300 new. I'll leave a link to this one in the notes below. Okay, that takes us to the audio. Now, getting good audio of your talk is way more important than getting high quality video. And that is because people are there to hear what you are saying. People will tolerate a slightly dark picture of yourself or slightly blurry or a little grainy. People will not tolerate scratchy audio or echoey audio or just really low volume. So if you are giving a talk in a venue that has a real PA system and their own audio system, the best option is actually to tap into their audio system and get a direct line out from their system. I was doing that successfully for a while, and then it turns out as like the office video conferencing systems have gotten upgraded, a lot of them are installing these sort of all-in-one packages that don't actually have interfaces anymore, where it's all just sort of built into the walls and you can't really like do anything with it. So if you can get like a line out audio from the venue, bring a little portable recorder, record that, you're golden. I have found that to not always be possible most of the time these days. So now I bring my own microphone. The best way I found to do that is to use a lav mic, which you can clip onto your clothing. That way it's nice and close to your face, nobody will see it. Then if you also are using like a stage mic from the venue or a podium mic, it doesn't get in the way and they both work just fine. To get this lav mic into the camera, obviously I'm not close enough to just plug it in with this little thing. Instead, I have a wireless transmitter. The best one I've found for this is this little one from Sony. It's a transmitter receiver. They both look the same. You plug in the microphone into the transmitter. This little thing just clips on to the side here. Then you run the wire over into the microphone jack, and there it is. Super light, easy to pack. The little transmitter is a belt clip, really light, out of the way, nobody would ever notice that you're wearing it. This is obviously not the most expensive wireless mic you can buy. You can spend easily thousands of dollars if you cared on a microphone setup. This is about, I think, $150. So I know I said that the audio is the most important part of this, but also you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on a microphone because this is actually good enough. Right now you're listening to audio from my DSLR with the Rode microphone on the top of it. It's a great microphone, but it is, meant for being relatively close to the camera like this. It's not going to work from back in the back of the room. So now let's switch to the audio from the lav mic that I'm wearing. This sounds fine. This is obviously not the best mic in the world. The other one is better, but it sounds fine. Certainly if you heard this on YouTube, you wouldn't be like, oh, that microphone is so annoying, I can't stand listening to this guy talk. You don't need to spend all of the money to get the best microphone in the world, you just need one that works well enough. This is certainly better than the built-in audio from the camera from across the room, or even an external mic on top of the camera from across the room. So this is gonna level up your audio a ton. I like that this thing is relatively affordable, and it's also so small, you can just take it anywhere, and you never have to worry about whether or not you have room in your bag to pack it. The other thing to remember about this little wireless microphone set is that these are powered by AAA batteries, which are not that big, and there's no external power option on them. The batteries don't last forever. I don't have exact numbers. It feels like the batteries will last about an hour and a half. It does depend on the battery you're using. If you get like the high capacity non-rechargeable, those might last a little longer. So you always want to make sure you start your talk with fresh batteries. Don't go into your talk with batteries of unknown state because it is very possible they will be halfway drained and then the mic will die partway through your talk and then you're out of luck. So make sure you have fresh batteries in here when you start, and if you know you're going to be talking for longer than an hour, see if you can build in a break into your talk and swap out your batteries with new ones partway through the talk. I have definitely done a long session before and had the battery run out partway through and not noticed, and it's really sad. All right, so now you've got your video and your audio dialed in. The next step is to get the slides into the final recording. So if you have the budget for it, you can get an external HDMI recorder, which will actually record any HDMI source you plug into it and then send the HDMI back out. So you can plug that in between your laptop and the projector and capture everything on the screen. This is great because it's a guaranteed way to make sure that everything you see on the projector is exactly what's being recorded on the SD card. The downside is that those are kind of expensive. They're at least $500 or so. Don't get the ones off of Amazon that are like $60. They do not work well. Believe me, I have tried and returned like 3 of them. So the ones that do work well are like the Blackmagic or the Ninja Blade. Those are great, but they're also very expensive. It also is like as big as a digital camera, so it's not insignificantly sized and it's something else you need to pack. So the more affordable option, which I find really useful, is to use built-in screen recording software on your laptop and record the screen itself. There are a couple tricks to make this work well though, so we're gonna go over those in a minute. The nice thing about it is that it doesn't require any additional hardware. It's already there. It's nothing else you have to buy or carry. So there are a couple tricks though to making it work well. So if you're one of those people who does your presentations in mirror display mode, where the thing you see on your screen is the same as what's being projected and you don't have speaker notes or see the next slide coming up, then you're set up great for this because all you have to do is open up QuickTime, start screen recording, and you have one display to capture and it works great. Now, if you're like me and you do like to see the next slide coming up, it gets a little bit trickier because you have to make sure that you're recording only the second display, not your presenter display. So definitely test this out before you go and do a talk live. I have tried recording several talks of mine over the last year or so, and a couple of them I've just messed up one step of this for various reasons and lost the entire recording. So here's how I like to do it. I set my displays to extend desktop so the projector is different from what I'm seeing on my computer display. I then open up QuickTime, tell it to do a screen recording, and I make sure to click on the second display before I start the presentation in Keynote. Then you go to Keynote and start the presentation. That will then put your slides up on the projector and your speaker notes in front of you, and it'll be recording that second screen the whole time. So to start your screen recording, you're gonna open up QuickTime, go to File, choose New Screen Recording, and then there's a little drop-down arrow, and you're gonna wanna make sure you choose your built-in microphone to record the audio. There's two reasons for this. First, the audio is what's gonna let us sync up the slides with the video track by matching the audio, and most video editors will do this automatically now. Second, this can act as a backup audio recording if for some reason your lav mic dies. Now, if your laptop is right in front of you, it turns out that the microphones on the new MacBooks and new computers are actually pretty good and will do a pretty good job of picking up your voice. Enough to use as a very last resort, if you need to use that backup audio if your microphone dies for some reason. It's rescued me a couple of times when I thought there was a different microphone recording and it wasn't. Very important thing. As soon as you're done with your talk, you're basically gonna do everything in the reverse order. Exit Keynote, stop the recording in QuickTime, and then unplug your display. Do not just yank the cord and walk away. Weird things will happen. So make sure you break it down in that reverse order. Exit Keynote, stop recording in QuickTime, and then unplug the display. Very next thing you should do, save your recording in QuickTime. QuickTime does not automatically save it to disk. It will just be sort of in the ether until you hit save and write it out. Then you're gonna end up with a very large file on disk of your slides. All right, coffee's done. Time to switch to beer. Okay, back. So once you finish your talk and now you've got your recording on your camera, hopefully with good audio from your wireless microphone, and you also have the screen recording on your laptop, let's talk about putting these pieces together. Now again, it doesn't really matter what software you use for this, Final Cut, Adobe Premiere, even iMovie, doesn't really matter in the end. So we're gonna start out by importing all the footage from the video camera into the project. And then also bring in the screen recording into Final Cut as well. So you're gonna select all your clips, right click, and then click New Multicam Clip. It's gonna take a little while to sync all that up. So I then like to have both the slides and myself on the screen at the same time. So I'm actually gonna go and set that up. Now we can resize this one to show me in the corner. You can also crop the right side of the screen so that it only shows myself. Now I just need to trim the beginning and the end. Maybe if I want to, I'll cut out the breaks in the middle, and we're good to go. So I'm gonna work on that for a minute and hit publish. This is going to be hopefully getting you to think about security and these concepts in a different way. So those are my tips on recording your own talks at meetups and conferences. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment below if you have any suggestions that I didn't think about. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Bye!